What's up, everybody? Straw Hats Are Cool here, and we are back again with another video. This one's a little unexpected. However, we did have some pretty big news the other day. Was hoping to get this video out yesterday, but wasn't feeling super well while I was trying to recording, so I ended up calling it and saving it for another day. So here we are. But for those who aren't aware, and I'm sure everyone who's watching this video is, but just in case, there was an announcement that the newly announced bans and restrictions will be reverted upon the release of OP05. So that is Curly Denon, Nami, and Newgate leader bans, as well as the OP03 Marco restriction. I believe all of those are being reverted upon the release of OP05. And so a lot of the prices for things that were dropping have quickly shot back up. So before we get into it, just let me say again, thank you all so much for all of the support. This morning we did pass 1,000 subscribers. So I'll be trying to do something fun to celebrate that. I'm not sure what I want to do yet, as I ended up hitting this milestone a lot quicker than I was anticipating. My goal was to get to 1,000 before the release of OP05, so we did do that. But I was getting a little, I didn't think we were going to, because about a month ago I was still at just over 500 subscribers, so things slowed down a little bit. But you guys ended up blowing it out of the water, and I really cannot thank you enough. And I know I keep saying that, and so I apologize if it's getting annoying or repetitive, but I really do mean it. I didn't ever think I would get this far, especially not in this short amount of time. So really, from the bottom of my heart, thank you all so much. I hope I can continue to provide content which you will all enjoy. But with that, let's get into the brief market watch. So jumping right in, your red green law leader from set 1 is back up above $300. This is around the price it was before the banned and restricted announcement. However, following it, it did drop to around 220, I want to say, so it's about $100 less than it is now. And now it is quickly shot back up, and they are selling. So if you wanted your laws, hopefully you got them on that brief dip. If not, you're probably out of luck again. And like I said initially, I believe that these cards would go back up in price anyways, even with the restrictions, even if they did last, just purely because they're popular characters and they're OP01 alts, which, if you're watching the prices, are all going up over time quite significantly. So I really don't see the price drifting too much from here. I would this was about the same price it was, because prices on law leader were already insane. So personally, I think this is probably around where it's going to settle. Maybe it'll drop down a little closer to 300, but I imagine it will stick around this price, especially because they are selling. So Zoro, kind of same deal. They're selling. It's a popular character. It's a good leader. With the bans being undone, these are both strong leaders going into set 5. On top of the fact that they're OP01 alt leaders, they're going to hold value. I really don't see these drifting too far from $300 anytime soon. Now, I never would have seen these, or any card for that matter, getting up this high outside of like a manga rare. But as the game's popularity increases, so does the demand, and people want these cards, especially for popular characters that are very playable competitively. So I hope maybe we get reprints and prices will drop, but for the time being, I don't see these going anywhere anytime soon, unless the game just completely dies, so the market completely crashes. But until then, I think both Zoro and Lol are probably going to stick around $300. So if you wanted one, hopefully you got one on the dip. And hopefully if you did get one on the dip, the buyer wasn't an ass, or the seller wasn't an asshole and said something along the lines of, oops, sorry, I traded it at locals or something, and then went ahead and listed it again, because I'm sure there are some sellers who did that. Anyways, moving on. Next up, we've got Nami. Nami's at a little over $300 now. One copy sold today at that price, but other than that, they were around $225. What I would say about Nami right now is don't be that guy who bought it at $305. The price before the banned and restricted announcements, I want to say, was like 220, 230, somewhere closer to the ones that were selling before the sales stopped. So I would imagine, because all things considered, Nami probably sees less play next set. I'm not too sure about that. Maybe not. Law is still very playable next set, but I feel like red decks in general, so like Strawbeard and things like those decks, just completely die off. So Nami, I think, sees less play next set than it has been. Now, granted, it's still Nami, it's still an OPO1 alt, it's going to be expensive, but I don't see any reason why following the unban, the price would be higher than it was before the ban. So personally, I think you should probably avoid this one, and then just keep your eye on it and hope that it goes back down to like 220-ish if you really want this card. But I don't think $300 is a good price for this, at least right now. Maybe I'm wrong. Like I said, like I always say, don't take my advice, really. I'm just a guy on the internet. I'm not the guy you should take financial advice from, especially when we're dealing with premium cardboard rectangles as our currency. So take what I say with a grain of salt. That's just my thoughts on it. This one's not related to any of the bans or restrictions, but I just want to comment that Momonosuke from set 1, the rare, is going up in price. I've kind of been speculating that this one would go up in price, as I was honestly surprised that even with all of the hype surrounding the green yellow Yamato deck, this one hadn't gone up. It's your searcher for the deck, and I mean, it's the only, like, it's a set 1 rare. We're seeing with some of those other set 1 rares like Punk Gibson and X Drake that they are going up in price, so I didn't see any reason why this one wouldn't. So if you were watching, then maybe you invested in some copies of Momonosuke to flip later on, and if you did, you're probably feeling pretty good right now, because we're still nowhere near the release of set 6. We're still waiting on set 5, and these prices are already going up quite a bit, so just something to keep in mind there. Now, OP03 Marco SR is back up around $8. I think this is a fine price if you want your Marcos, or if you want them back because for some reason you decided to sell everything as soon as the ban and restricted announcement happened. If this ever happens again in the future, I would say don't do that. I don't know why anyone would begin with, but I wouldn't have sold anything following that just because of the announcement. So just kind of my 2 cents on that. But my thoughts on Marco are that it's restricted for the rest of this set, so rest of set 4 format, and then going into set 5, this card sees a lot less play unless I'm missing something. So I don't know, I don't really think you need this card anymore, and if you want it, I would probably wait, because I kind of think the price will go down a little more, but I'm not too sure. Zoro is still playable next set. I don't know if they're running Marco. Newgate is almost nowhere to be found next set, so you don't need Marcos for that. And other than that, like, your red purple decks aren't running this, so I don't think Marco's seeing a whole lot of play next set, but maybe I'm missing something. So I don't think you need this card at $8, but I mean, it's probably fine if you do decide to pick up a couple copies if you didn't have them. So that's my thoughts there. Same deal with the alt, it's up again. This one's price didn't change too much. It was like 25 before the announcement. After it dropped down to like 20, and now after it's back up at 30. The price hasn't altered too much, so you know, if you want a Marco, I think this is fine. It's an alt art. $30 really ain't bad, but again, I could see it going down just because it's going to start seeing less play set 5, unless I'm missing something, which feel free to let me know down in the comments. I haven't been following the OPO5 meta super closely, but as near as I can tell, this card sees quite a bit less play next set. Newgate leader is back up. Makes sense. He's getting unbanned, so people still want their alt leader, even though, like I said, he's dead for the rest of the format. And going into set 5, I don't think he's going to see any play. But at the end of the day, it's a popular character. It's an alt art leader from set 2. And as we're seeing, especially with sets 1 and 2, those prices are starting to go up pretty significantly. So, you know, it's just a collector's item at the end of the day too. Now, I want to talk about the Newgate character SR from set 2 as well as the SP from set 4, because they've both also seen quite a big jump in price. They've almost doubled. And maybe I'm wrong about this, but it is my understanding that they did not confirm that these restrictions were being lifted as well. So the first banned and the first restricted announcement being on Radical Beam, Newgate character, and Blocker Marco. There was no evidence from what I can see that says that those cards will also be unbanned on the release of set 5. I wouldn't be surprised if they are, but as of now, I don't think there's any confirmation on that. But I think people are now hopeful, and so they are picking up copies of Newgate. So I know I picked up a couple copies of these just because I was hopeful and I want to play Red Purple Luffy kind of for fun. I don't think it's the most competitive deck out there, but it looks like a lot of fun to me. It's my boy Luffy. I'm gonna try playing it. But yeah, the Newgate characters are up, and I probably would steer clear of this price for the time being, at least until, I mean, I guess when there is confirmation, these are either gonna shoot up a ton or drop back down. So maybe if you want to gamble a little, this is still a fine price, but honestly, I'd probably steer clear. Maybe buy one copy if you want, if you don't have any copies just for your collection. But I don't know. Let me know if I missed something, but I don't think there was any confirmation that Newgate or Marco or Radical Beam were coming back alongside the other bans and restrictions. So yeah, just want to talk quick about gift collection stuff. Yamato's up a little bit, and there is this Nami. Oh, it's sold. So yeah, there was a lightly played Nami listed at $16, but really they're closer to $25. Was why we had this pull up, because again, Nami was unbanned starting on set 5, so naturally this card is going to go up in value. So that's about it for changes in regards to the banned and restricted announcement. I did have one other card I wanted to just show you guys real quick, and that is pre-release Virgo from Pillars of Strength. I'm not sure why, but it's $20 now. Someone bought one at $23. There are only 3 listings. I don't know what I missed here. Maybe someone was playing it in like a blue-black Sakazuki deck for some reason. I don't think this card's particularly good, and I'm not sure why it went up in price, but I thought I'd let you guys know because maybe you've got one sitting in a pile of pre-release cards you weren't going to touch and could make yourself a little money off of it. But that's it. That's all I've got for today. Like I said, this was a short one. Honestly, it's already run a little longer than I was expecting. But yeah, let me know what you think about all of this down in the comments below. Are you happy that things are coming back? Are you upset? Are you mad because you sold things and now you want them back? What do you think about all this? Personally, I'm glad that they are unrestricting the cards on OP05 because none of those cards, from what I can tell, are all that oppressive in the 05 format, so I think it is unnecessary to have them banned or restricted next set. And I think it'll be kind of fun now to have a slightly different format for the remainder of OP04. Just, you know, usually the format gets pretty stale around the last month of a set, but this way I think things will be a little more fun. I'm sure there's some very mixed feelings about all this, but I kind of like how everything's ended up. But let me know what you think down in the comments below. As always, if you're enjoying the content, please do consider liking the video and subscribing to the channel, and hit that little bell notification if you want to get notified whenever a new Market Watch goes live. So that's all I've got for today. So thank you again for watching, and I will catch you all in the next video. Peace.